Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 127 of the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. We are brought to you by Black Belt Digital Marketing. Anything you need to build your business on or offline, that's website design, Google ads, graphic design, printing. We can do your magazine ads, anything you need. We can absolutely help. Check us out at Black Belt Digital Marketing on Instagram, or you can check out our website, bbdigitalmarketing.com. Request a free review of your online presence today right there on the homepage. Okay, I'm Milton Campus. I'm a brown belt training out of South Florida. We got Bo behind the camera over here.
Yo.
And we got Christian behind the camera over there.
Yo.
Ben's in the bathroom somewhere. What he can hear us, right? Ben can hear us. Is it like you have the sound on in the studio?
So. I'm not sure. I think he's doing a business call out back, like a big grown man.
A big boy.
Yeah.
All right. Don't forget to like, comment, download, share, click that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate all the support. Joining us today is Black Belt and New Floridian, Charlie Vinch. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you, sir.
You can give me a couple of minutes. We're going to do some shout outs to our sponsors, and then we're going to jump right in with you, okay?
All right.
All right. Thank you to our friends over at Flow and Roll. All right. Hands down the best. I did it this time. Friends at Flow and Roll. I didn't fuck it up. But, now I interrupted myself. Hands down the best custom gi and no-gi gear in the business. Don't believe us? Visit them on Instagram at flow_n_roll. Check out all their custom designs. They're working with academies all throughout the country, and they have an incredible pre-order program. Very little money out of pocket. You get all your stuff online. Your students can go online and purchase, and then take that money that you made online and pay for all your gear, and then you got some inventory, right? Right? That sounds pretty good as a gym owner, right?
Yeah.
It's a really good program. So you just kind of pay a couple $100, get things online. Your students can order there. Not for everybody. You could still do a regular order, but for a small gym or a gym just starting, it's like, I don't want to lay out $5,000, $10,000 for an order. Mm-hmm. You don't have to. Let the orders happen online, and then you take that money and you pay for it will pretty much pay for the inventory that you wind up, he ships to you. So it's just like your students have kind of helped you pay for it before they even get it. Really cool. I don't have the bag here. He even when he sends you a gi, he puts it in a Flow and Roll backpack.
Oh, wow.
Like a little backpack. So now, take the gi out, you start wearing the gi. Now you have the backpack. I actually use them for the gym. I put all my gloves and my water in it, go to the gym. So it's really cool. He takes care of his client. I mean, just go on. If you check out his Instagram again, Flow, at Flow_N_roll. He's always posting like new academy artwork. Like the artwork's incredible. And honestly, like the no-gi and the rash guards, like incredible. If I wasn't working with them, I probably wouldn't even wear anything else unless somebody was throwing it at us, to be honest, because it's high quality stuff. So check them out. Website is flowandroll.com, the letter N, right? Flowandroll.com. Get 20% off with code JJD on your online orders. They do embroidery on belts. You've got your no-gi stuff. You got your gis. But again, check out the pre-order program if you're a gym owner. Neutral Zone CBD. They've got some new branding. We don't have the new stuff yet, but you've got the stuff. You see it over my head. That's the CBD. Those are the CBD products they have now. They're coming out with some new gummies and some just all different products. New labeling, new logo. Check them out. You can still go to the website, neutralzonecbd.com, and get 25% off with code JJD. And, no matter if your aches and pains are coming from lifting weights at the gym or rolling on the mats, Neutral Zone has a product for you. So you find your Neutral Zone by finding the best products for your pain wellness so you can continue your active lifestyle. All right. Next up is Leao Optics. I know somebody will correct me on that. You got it? No?
I don't have anything
Leao,
Mata Leon?
Right. So it's kind of...
Leon?
That's the way you say it, right? That's the same word, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
My wife's Brazilian.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Oh, then you should know.
Yeah.
Mata there you
Leon.
go.
Leon.
Okay. Somebody tried to teach me the other day. It was like the way he would. I'm like, I can't just Leao Optics. We're just going to do that. Check these out. These are so like whenever I wear something brown, say brown, got my rank from Flow and Roll, and then I got these brown ones. Christian, you want to bring that up on screen? What are these called? The Avore de Vida. I think this is what these are called, right?
Oh,
there you go.
Those.
Avore da Vida. Really cool.
Those.
Bamboo. You can get your rank. You're a black belt, so you get it like this with the
the
red. Right?
I want a
Very
pair.
Cool. I don't have an extra pair of these. I have extra pairs, but I didn't bring them into the studio yet. And I feel bad.
Dude.
Next time you come on.
Mm.
So yeah, these are. I wear a black pair, and then I wear these. I keep these in the car as well. So check them out at layoutoptics.com. You get 10% off with code JJD. Last but not least, we have BioPro. BioPro Tech. You can see what let's see. We got to compare each episode.
That's what happened.
Working out. This is what happened. Look, oh my God, I got stung by a bee. Look at that. BioPro, right? I'm taking which one is this one? I got the BioPro and then the BioPro with quarter sleep. This is the quarter sleep. This is the nighttime one. But I take one in the morning, one at night. It's just a little vial. You're not shooting anything. It's a little vial. Put it under your tongue. Hold it for 90 seconds. Swallow. Go about your day. Helps with anti-aging, metabolism, libido.
Nice. I don't have any issue with that. I'll be honest. I need something to turn mine off.
At 50, at 50, like you feel it changing. I talked to a buddy of mine yesterday. He's 52, and as soon as I said something, I was telling him like this, stuff that I was taking, nothing crazy, no steroids, nothing like that. And he was like, "Oh, I don't have any problem with that." I'm like, "Listen, bro, you're 52. It's definitely not like it was before." I'm like, "Just when you're ready, just come, like, we'll check it out, and maybe we'll get you hooked up." But definitely the thing that was most notable to me was the libido, like 2 weeks in.
Wow.
Just like, whoa, hey, what's that? Waking up in the morning like you're 15? For real? I mean, Chris is laughing. Legit. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. Help you with your immune system, skin, cognition, and then again, the one with the quarter sleep is helping you with sleep and stress. All this with no needles, no side effects. You can check them out at bioproteintech.com and get $30 off with code JJD on regularly priced kits. I got to change that, right? So that means like the two kits, the daytime and the night one, they sometimes put them on sale for with $100 off. But if you get the kit and they're not on sale, use code JJD. Your total is going to be over $295, and that's when the code kicks in. You get $30 off. All right, so go check them out. All right, you ready, bro?
Let's do it.
Thank you for being patient, man. How's everything? Second visit.
Second visit.
You are now. When we talked to you last time, you were up in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
So when did you move down?
So we moved down in April.
So you're officially a Floridian?
Yeah. How many months does it take to be?
I'm June 1st I'm here 25 years. Okay. I came down when I was 25, just turned 50. June 1st is 25 years. So now I'm a Floridian. I've been now more than half my life in Florida. So now I'm a Floridian. So it's going to take a little time.
It's going to take a little time.
Your kids are a little different, right? They'll be, you have one or you have two? You have two, boy, girl? Right?
I have one boy, one girl.
Girl's older?
Girl's older.
How old is she?
7.
And then the boy?
1.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
She's on the mats?
Yeah, she's been training since she was 3.
Yeah. How are they dealing with the move? It's
fine.
With the younger, the easier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're moving to Florida. All right, Dad.
Yeah. So where are you? Are you right here in Boca?
Oh, we're at Coral Springs.
Oh, you're in Coral Springs? I didn't know you were in Coral Springs.
Right on the edge of Parkland. So the lower part of Parkland. I'm right there. Right by Eagle Ridge.
Eagle Ridge. Like more towards Coral Ridge Drive? That side? Okay. Yep. Yeah. I just, if you know Coral Springs, I just moved in. I don't want to tell everybody where I live. There's a new building over there in the center of Coral Springs. I can tell everybody exactly where I live. That new building, I just moved into that new building. That's awesome. That went up there on that area.
Yeah, it's
over by the post office.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Just moved. There's like nobody there. There's like 360 apartments. I think they said we were like 13% full last weekend.
Okay.
Like, yeah, that new. So it's just seeing little chickadees at the pool now.
And there needs to be or there's going to be some commercial downstairs.
Yeah. It's funny because they're doing. It's actually like they put up that building.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually starting on the building in front of us. I thought that was going to be the parking lot. Everybody said because of COVID that they made that building smaller, and they were putting up. And then I thought it was going to be a parking lot in front. No, they're putting like the twin building right in front of it. So it's going to be 2 buildings. They're just breaking ground on it now. They're putting up a Hyatt hotel next to us. Then across the street, I don't know if you like those older one-story buildings. Yep. They're tearing that down. There's going to be, I believe it's the same construction company doing all of them.
Wow.
They're doing that. And then diagonally across, there's that grassy area.
Yep.
It's not even a park. I just think it's
Kinda
like an open area.
Yep.
Diagonally across from that rounded building. Then they're putting another residential building on that corner. So it's like a true downtown now. That's really what they're called. I think everybody's starting to call it
downtown.
Downtown Coral Springs.
Yeah.
So I'm a little. I feel like I'm early. Like it's not going to be. By the time I'm going to be buying another house, by the time it gets jumping. So, but
yeah, they move quick.
I frequent, like I like keeping my money. I lived in Coral Springs in a house. Recently divorced. We sold the house. I go to all these places and I like keeping my money in Coral Springs, just, you know, restaurants and bars. And, you know, I get business meetings. I'm like, hey, come on in. We'll go over here. So like, I'm going to Tap 42. I'm going to Miller's Ale House to watch the UFCs. Like they have a really nice outside patio. So like, I go to all these places. So it's like, now I can just walk across the street.
That's your
just
hub.
like really, yeah, that's, yeah, I like it.
That's
I get quiet. Like it's quiet. You know, if I want to go out, then it's like Fort Lauderdale. You got to go someplace else. But you know, nice bars, good bar scene. You can walk to a lot of stuff now. Like, you know, they're just putting up a lot more. So welcome to Coral Springs, man. We got to go have a drink or have I don't know if are you a drinker? You have a beer or you?
Nah, I really don't
get some
drink.
food.
Food, yeah.
We'll get some food. We'll get some lunch one day. So we were talking about used to have a podcast. I know when like I'm almost always going to listen to one podcast that you've been on before we come on together.
Sure.
So I searched for something I hadn't listened to before, and then I put in Charlie Vinch, and I see the Charlie Vinch podcast. I'm like, oh, we started something new because I don't think I saw it last time. And then I was like, oh, then I saw the date, so I think the last one was like in 2022.
Yeah, it was probably 2022.
Why'd you stop?
Just hard to keep up, right? Like this production is awesome. You guys have all your cameras. You have your staff. Like I'd love to do something. Yeah,
dude. Do I get a do I get a referral fee if Charlie comes to do his podcast here? He starts up again.
We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out.
Well, I mean, for us, you know. We were lucky enough. I started in my wife's office. We used to like record in her conference rooms at her office. She like managed an office suite company, and then we moved it to my house. And then COVID hit, and we had moved. We were like moving because we were moving into the house. We had to like sell the house, rent while our house was being built. So then we had it in the new place, but then it was like we're in the midst of COVID. So it was like wife didn't really want people coming in, and then we moved it to Miami. Bo had an empty, real beautiful apartment that was empty. We turned the master bedroom into a podcast studio.
Okay.
It's like overlooking Biscayne Bay. Beautiful. So people would come and be like, what the fuck is this? Like, you know, because I'd say come to the studio, but then they come to this residential building. But that was, this is, I like this. It's closer for me. You know, it was an hour drive. It's not even a half-hour drive here. And this is a cool setup. I like it. You know, we're going to it's a little easier to have more people come in. We were talking about the next podcast. We're going to do like the next one's going to be a blue belt roundtable. So it's me and another brown belt that I train with, and then we're going to have a bunch of blue belts that we're constantly beating up on, so that they can attack us verbally on the podcast. So yeah, this is like a really good setup to bring in like 5 or more people. You know? This
is beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean, I wish I had this. Yeah, maybe I'd do it. And then if I didn't have to do any of the uploading or any of this, I mean, dude, that's the hardest part about anything, right? Like when you're off on a venture, we were talking about businesses and different thing. It's, you know, sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. But then there's a certain point where it's like, if you're not good at that thing, you probably shouldn't do it. You just pay somebody else to do it so you can become more productive at the thing you're actually good at. Yeah. And this is where gym owners get it.
Yeah.
Wrong.
No, this is the perfect setup for that. I do own a marketing company. So like my daughter's, you know, creating like the questions post, and then she'll do the launch. She'll have the you know, she manages the graphic design team that does that stuff. So I do have that help. I have that back end of my marketing company that can help with the stuff. So yeah, it does make it easier. I think the downfall of most podcasts is I think most people launch it and they just think it's going to go viral, man. Yeah. It's going to go viral. People are going to love me. And Bono's like, I mean, there was a point that I was like putting $2,000 a month into it just for like advertising. I was running ads, YouTube, posting and boosting on social media. So like I spent a lot of money in the beginning, but I had a job that allowed me to do that. So I was just like, when we first recorded, it took off and I wasn't spending any money. And then I'm like, what if we spend a little money on advertising? Yeah. And then we did that and it took off. Don't spend that now. I absolutely don't spend that much now, but there was a time that I was spending that much a month just to, let me nudge it in the right direction and let things build. But yeah, man, if you're ever going to do another one, man, this is a great place. You know who records here? There's a podcast called Slick and Thick. Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall? Yeah. UFC fighter?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Who's he? He was who did he fight? He's the guy that like stepped up to fight that the guy from the WWE. That's how I always remember him. CM Punk. Yeah. Yeah. He was that guy.
So Mickey's here?
Mickey Gall.
Mickey's from New Jersey,
here.
I think.
He records here once a week?
Yeah, he lives here. He moved down here to train at Kill
He also moved down here. Yeah. Where's Killcliff? Killcliff is in
Deerfield.
It's in Deerfield. Okay. Oh, yeah. I thought Mickey's from New Jersey, right?
Yeah, he's from Jersey. Yeah.
One of my buddies actually that I used to train was his striking coach.
Yeah. Yeah. You used to train?
I used to train Justin, and Justin is Diamond Striking on Instagram, and then he was training Mickey.
Okay.
for striking.
All right.
So
What is it?
a while ago.
They're not like they're like more topical. They're not like MMA specific though, right?
They talk a lot of MMA, but they do sports, political stuff. It's all over the place as far as what they do.
The co-host is a comedian.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so it's like him and this guy. Great vibe. Check it. I mean, yeah, I started following him when I came in here, and yeah, it's he's funny. I was surprised that I liked it. You know, I haven't been listening to the podcast, but I follow, like, I watch all the social media stuff because I like the clips.
Is he still actively fighting?
I don't know. Is he? Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming off an injury, big back injury, but he'll be fighting.
He's still contracted with the UFC.
He'll be
like
fighting
he's a
in
gamer
December.
though. Like he's like right. He's like I'll take on all comers. Right.
How old is he?
Yeah.
He's 31.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was training with him last night, actually.
Yeah.
What's that?
Boxing. I was boxing sparring with him last
Nice.
night.
Oh yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Is that why your nose
here
is
or
red?
did you go someplace? Oh yeah. So I come in here, I meet these guys, they show me the studio, and you know, he undersold himself. So he's just like, yeah, you know, I train a little bit, and I'm like, okay, you know, okay. So then I see his like social media after a couple of weeks. I didn't even like realize right away, and I came in and I'm like, he's like knocking out guys in a freaking octagon over here in like amateur fights with no pads up north. Where is it, Ohio?
Yeah, they don't have.
Look at I'm pumping him up. I'm pumping him up. Hey, UFC, we got to sign. You got to get Mickey to get you signed.
No, not after last night. I'm cool. I ate an uppercut and I was like, fuck this.
You got to come to just do some jiu-jitsu, man.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
That's my week. That's Yep.
Yeah, no, but I found it, you know, started following him on Instagram, and this guy's throwing hands, and I'm like,
I'm going to follow him.
he's like, yeah, I trained a little bit, and then he's knocking out guys in the ring. I'm like, he undersold himself. He knows. Look at see him smiling. He knows. He's like, yeah, I undersold it. But that's good. I respect that. He didn't like, yeah, I'm fucking, you know,
Right.
I'm the man.
Look at me.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're ever gonna do a podcast, man, this is a good place. These guys, they're good people. So tell us about for people that didn't listen to the first podcast that you were on. Tell us a little bit about how you got your start in jiu-jitsu and with who are you a black belt under?
So I'm a black belt under the Migleris brothers, who are out of Philadelphia.
Animal, what is it?
The Animal.
What is it? What's his Instagram?
Animal,
It's like
I think it's Animal Black Belt or Animal Jiu-Jitsu Black Belt.
I think it's Animal Black Belt.
Yeah, Animal Black Belt.
Yeah, he's got some good shit. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then him and his brother.
Yeah.
So Rick and Phil, they're both brothers. They're both, I think, one's a 5th degree, the other's a 6th degree under Helson Gracie. And they trained at the Gracie Academy back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've been around for a minute.
Dude, if you see their pictures on their Instagram, Ricky and Phil have pictures where Henner and Huron are children.
Yeah.
Like they're like 12 or 13, and Ricky and his brother are teenagers. They're like 17, 18.
Yeah.
So while they were at the Gracie Academy, you know, they were some of the first people to ever train with Horian.
Wow.
You know, these are like the first pack of people traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast to learn Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. You know, and that's where I kind of like got all my belts under. But I started training in like, I guess you would call it like grappling, you know, back when I was 19 or 14, 15 years old under a guy named Rick Tucci. He had a program that he was under Eric Paulson, and he would do shoot wrestling. And then he was a blue belt at the time. We're talking, man, when I was 14, I'm almost 40 now. So we're going back a long time. He was a blue belt under, I think it was Hegan.
Okay.
So he would have a gi jiu-jitsu program once a week, and we just learned some jiu-jitsu. And then from there, I went to a club called Rhino Fight Team with Rob Garino. It was in Toms River, New Jersey. This is where all of like Frankie Edgar and the whole New Jersey kind of clan came out of, and then everybody started kind of branching out. And then from there, I moved with Almeida. And then from Almeida, I went with the Migleris brothers.
We had Ricardo on a few episodes back.
Oh, yeah?
Really nice guy, yeah.
Awesome.
Super
good
cool.
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So I know, I heard you talk about like your first school, you were kind of learning MMA before anybody was calling it MMA, right?
Correct.
You were, was it Jeet Kune Do, right? Yep. You were under a Jeet Kune Do instructor. What do you call him? Sensei?
JKD. He used to call it. He used to refer to himself as Sifu, or
yeah, it's a kung fu thing, right? The Sifu.
Sifu, yeah, because it's all intertwined in that JKD, right?
Yeah. So you were doing groundwork back then, but you're not even understanding that that's like what it is now, right? You were like, oh, this is okay. Let's do some jiu-jitsu now. No, you were kind of learning all aspects of martial arts.
Correct. So he would break down his classes. Like, let's suppose the schedule was Monday was JKD, Tuesday was Muay Thai under Arjun Chai, and then Wednesday was shoot wrestling, and then Thursday was gi jiu-jitsu, and then Friday was boxing or whatever. And then he would have other classes, but I'm just giving you an example. Yeah. So we had a curriculum where we'd come in twice a week. 1 week I would do 1 jiu-jitsu class and 1 striking class. And then maybe the next week I'd do 2 grappling classes.
It's a great mix like that.
Dude, at 13 years old, it was great because, again, I'm 40. So we're going back over 20 years ago. The big thing then was it was karate, right? Like it was karate. So I didn't know. I was like, man, I want to do something where I punch and kick somebody, or like I know how to do martial arts. So when I got to be on the ground, I was like, oh, this is cool. I didn't even know what jiu-jitsu was. Dude, I remember when I trained with Rory Singer and Adam Singer at SBG at Straight Blast Gym in Atlanta, Georgia. Or no, not Atlanta. It's right by Atlanta. I was about 20 years old. No, I was before I was 20 years old. Probably 19 years old. I went out to their camp, and they're good people, and I trained with a bunch of their MMA fighters. Brian Bowles was actually the champion of WEC at that time.
Okay.
He was training there at that time, so it was that long ago. And the guys go, yeah, we're going to go up to Atlanta, and we're going to do some jiu-jitsu with some Brazilian guys. And I'm like, what's a Brazilian? I'm being serious. And it's just like, dude, we're going over 25 years ago. Yeah. It was like, I didn't have he's like, these Brazilian guys are tough. And I'm like, where's Brazil? I'm like thinking like it's in the Middle East or something.
Does your wife know that story? You said she was Brazilian, right?
I don't think she does.
What's a Brazilian?
Yeah, what's a Brazilian? So, that's how like naive I was and not knowing what was what. I just thought just fighting was fighting, just grappling was grappling, and MMA was MMA. And I get to this room of guys who are absolute killers. They were the original like ATT guys. Roberto Travin was there. Jucao, his name is, not Jacar, Jucao, another Brazilian guy from ATT. And they were just, they were killers. We had a good time. But I was like, yeah, man, those Brazilian guys were tough.
Yeah, man. Jeez, you're going back there. So you go to, from that first gym, you said you went with, so what was your journey? So kind of like a JKD studio.
Yep.
And then where'd you go?
JKD, and then from JKD, I went to like full MMA with Rob Garino.
Did you fight? Did you amateur and pro? Did you take pro fights as well?
So I did a bunch of amateur, and then
probably back then was there a huge distinction between amateur and pro even at that time for MMA?
There was, but there wasn't. Like it just started to happen when I started fighting. But we used to do in-house tournaments where you'd have another gym, you'd do a smoker, and there was, nobody was kind of watching. You just have another guy come in. You're like, oh, you're 180, I'm 200. We've been training for this long. Let's fight.
So that they don't have to like sanction it as an official like state sporting event, right?
Correct.
That's how they got around it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And dude, I used to do some boxing all the time in Trenton, New Jersey. There's a gym called Goss and Goss. Barry Goss and Sammy Goss were Olympians back in like, I don't know, maybe the 70s or something.
Sure.
And they had a gym there. And what they would do is they'd get other local gyms. They call it gym sparring, but it was a fight. It was a fight because your corner was cheering hard. Their corner was cheering hard. I don't care if you had headgear on or not. You were going 100%.
Yeah.
And at the end, they would either say, hey, dude, you lost that fight or you won that fight.
Gotcha.
The only difference was there was a actual referee and it was sanctioned or it wasn't.
Yeah.
And we used to do these, every couple months. You have a guy come over from another local gym or PA or Philly. They'd come over and they'd call it gym sparring, but it was a fight.
What did you call them? Like a smoke? What did you say? It was called a smoker?
In the MMA world, they call it a smoker. In the boxing world, they just call it like gym sparring, like where you bring in another gym and spar with another gym.
Gotcha.
I consider that a real fight.
Yeah. So you have some. So you fight. You do these fights. Those were your amateur, and then. Pro?
So I did smokers, but then I did actual sanctioned amateur fights, like through Asylum Fight League. I fought for a title in Atlantic City, New Jersey. We also did some fights in South Jersey. So those were like sanctioned amateur fights, but I never did like the pro circuit of MMA.
And then what happens there? Where did your journey take you?
So after I did a couple amateur fights, I was going for like pro, right? And I really wanted to go pro before I went amateur, right? You're always like, yeah, I'm ready for that pro fight. And it's like, dude, I'm glad my coaches were smart at the time, right? And they were like, you don't need to go pro. You just need more amateur fights before you go pro. Going pro is just a word. It's just a title. Like you're going to be, if you can't kick ass and the amateur's really good, it's going to be really hard to kick ass in the pros. So I transitioned from the mixed martial arts MMA with Rob Garino to with the Miglerese brothers. And then once I started going there, I started incorporating more like actual jiu-jitsu, like learning it from the base of, you know, how to train with the gi and really good jiu-jitsu at that, right? And then I had the hip injury.
Double hip replacement,
Double
right?
hip replacement. I had 2 double hip surgeries.
How old are you at that time?
So that was 8 years ago. My first one was seven years ago or so. I had double hip resurfacing because my cartilage was messed up in my hips, and that didn't work. And then I had to wait another 6 months, and then after, I had to get double hip resurfacing done on both of my hips. And you see a lot of fighters have it now. Paul Felder's going through some hip stuff. John Wayne Parr had hip
Felder
resurfacing.
basically like retire because of that?
I don't know. I just saw him post something on Instagram that he's having hip issues.
Yeah.
And I wrote to him, I was like, dude, if you need help, because he's from Philly. He knows a lot of the same people I do. I was like, dude, if you need help, let me know. I've been through this journey of, you know, what it is for the hips. And then there's a lot of difference between a replacement and resurfacing. Okay. And if you really want to get into it, we can.
So do you have that done at the same? So you go the first time for your hips, and it's what? Just one on both?
Same time.
You could choose to do one at a time.
Yeah, but he's like, listen, if you got it in one, you got it in the other. Let's just do both.
But then now can you walk? Are you in a wheelchair?
Really. No, I'm in a walker.
Like,
I'm in a walker.
You're oh, Jesus.
I'm in a walker.
Like super painful?
Horrible.
How long?
Not walking?
Well, how long like before you're like, okay, I'm starting to feel better? Like
6 months.
Oh, shit.
That's the first time.
That's
the double hip resurfacing took over a year before I was like, man, I feel like good. I can like squat down and feel
you're talking about the second time. So okay, the first time it's resurfacing.
Yep. No, and first time is cartilage repair.
Repair. What's the difference between that and the resurfacing?
So, can we pull up a picture on that?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, if you look up, just pull up like femoral head, right? Like femoral head, and then you'll see like an X-ray. And that way I can kind of see if I can explain this. I became somewhat of a doctor.
I was going to say you're a freaking pro.
I became somewhat of a doctor.
Yeah.
So you'll see like, okay, so you see femoral head there, right? And then once you look at the femoral head, like go to the picture that you can see the pelvis too. Like the top one.
I think there's like one in the middle.
Right. One more. Yeah. Click on that. See if you can blow that up. So, yeah, no problem. So I'll see if I can like explain it through here. So like this is your femoral head, right? And then you have your pelvis above, and then in between your pelvis and your femoral head, you have cartilage. And what that cartilage does is allows your hip to move freely, right? So what had happened was the cartilage started getting like,
there you go.
There it is. Okay, so you see the femoral head, how close it is to the hip, the pelvis? Again, I'm not an X-ray reader here, but the closer it is to the pelvis, the more it shows there's no cartilage left.
Sure.
So once there's no cartilage, you become bone on bone. Once you're bone on bone, every time you take a step, you feel like you have an electric shock go through your body.
Really?
And dude, it's wicked.
That bad?
It's fucking awful. You can't even walk sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine bone on bone and you're like, it's like that, right? So the first one, he was like, oh, well, there's enough in there. All the flaps that kind of came under the femoral head here that rolled underneath. He goes, I'm going to peel them back and we'll staple them. And he goes, you're going to be good to go. I was like, cool. So, 3 months later, I'm like, dude, this thing really hurts. He's like, you got to do more PT and this and that. I'm like, okay. Go through the PT thing. 6 months later, he's like, I go back. I'm like, dude, this really still hurts in these positions. And he's like, let's do another X-ray. And I was like, okay, we do another X-ray. And he's like, I don't tell you. He's like, you don't have any cartilage left. And I was like, you just told me before 6 months ago, and then the day after the surgery, you told me I had cartilage left. It doesn't disappear in 6 months of me doing nothing. Where did it go? Just sometimes these things happen like that. And I was like, well, what do I do? Shit. He's like, pick a different lifestyle.
Really?
That's it. He's like, pick a different lifestyle.
What happened when you knocked him out and he gained consciousness?
I was too in shock myself. I was too like, what the fuck?
That like, I can remain calm, but if somebody said something like that to me, I would be like,
I wanted to cry.
Listen,
I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry and beat him up at the same time because I was so like, what the fuck am I going to do now? Like, this is my whole life. Like, I love martial arts, and why I got into martial arts and what it does for me. I'm not going to be able to do it anymore. And how dare you take that away from me, And then I was like, man, life's not fair. And, all these.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah, rabbit hole.
Thank you to Neutral Zone CBD, a combat family-owned company that supports athletes and the people who love them. Neutral Zone strives to deliver clean CBD products for sports recovery in gummies, lotions, balms, roll-ons, and more. After a competition, a hard rolling session, or a tough day on the job, Neutral Zone has a product designed to help you reduce inflammation, increase cell rejuvenation, and may even help with aging joints. Visit NeutralZoneCBD.com and get 25% off your order with code JJD. And follow them on Instagram too, at MyNeutralZone. Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu-Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
So he's like, I don't know what you want me to do. Just go figure out a different lifestyle. So then the real search became, who am I going to go to? What am I going to do now? So I started finding out about hip resurfacing, right? So here, the femoral head's still intact, right? And then they try to repair the cartilage that's here, but I was like this. So imagine a rim with no tire. You're just riding on the rim, right? So I'm riding on the rim. So now I have to figure out, am I going to do a replacement or resurfacing? So a replacement is where, so a femoral head is where they whack off the entire femoral head, and then they put a metal bar in there, and then they put a fake cap at the top, like a fake head. And then in here, they put like a metal scoop. So you go metal on metal. Okay. From what I understand from talking to many doctors and talking to a lot of people, your dislocation rate is higher when you have a replacement as opposed to resurfacing. And that goes with how they enter and where they enter. And I'll show you the scars later if you want. All right. So instead, I opted for what's called resurfacing. Resurfacing is where they take just the head and not the femur itself, just the head, and they cut it off. And then they put a ball on top of here, right? And they screw it in. And then they put the metal cup in here. So you still have all the strength of your femoral arm. The replacement, they take the arm
dislocation off. With that one as
lower
well?
dislocation.
Lower dislocation rate.
Lower dislocation rate. And then also depending on the interior-exterior approach that they take. So do they go in through the back or do they go in through this side? And this is what I understand from the doctor that I got it done in NYC was, he's like, listen, my dislocation rate is like 0. And he goes, you're young, you're strong, you're going to rebuild yourself. You're going to be great. He's like, I can't guarantee it. He's like, but from my experience, you're going to do good. He's like, you can go back.
So you went with that second option?
I went with that second option. I mean, I really...
On both?
On both. I mean, so we got to the point that after I had that meeting with him, I would go to other surgeons, and it was like anything else in life. When it rains, it pours. I go to these other doctors, and I go to them and be like, hey, I was at blah, 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 blah in Philadelphia. I had this surgery done. I need some help on a revision. And most doctors will not touch revisions. What they'll say is, they're just like, no, I'm not going to do that. They're like, nah, that guy worked on it. He's like, I don't do revisions.
It's like you're fixing somebody else's mistake. And
kind of
if
like
you can't fix it, if you can't fix it, then it's his fault. It's still the second guy's fault because you couldn't fix what the first guy fucked up.
Correct. So not a lot of people will take on revisions. So I was just going doctor after doctor, like, nah, I won't do it. And other guys were like, nah, you got to pick a different lifestyle. They're like, I think you're too young for a replacement. They're like, I wouldn't do it. I would just do something else. So I got desperate, man. And I was like, I need to find out what I'm going to do here. If I'm going to be a martial artist, if I'm going to do what I love and pursue of opening up a school. This is before I had a school. So I found a guy in New York City. One of my friends, Eric Reyes, had resurfacing done on one of his hips. And he's like, dude, listen, this is the best thing I ever did for myself. You need to go here and see this guy, Dr. Marwin. I'm like, okay. So I saw him. He's like, listen, I can't guarantee that any of this is going to go away. He's like, but my success rate is pretty high. He's like, you got to flip the coin. You're going to either risk this and get better. Or he's like, dude, listen, if you can tolerate the pain and not do the activities that you're doing, he's like, just ride it out for the next 5, 6.
You're married at this time? Are you married? But when this is happening, are you single?
I don't think I was married yet. I don't think I was married, but my wife now, she was my girlfriend at the time. Yeah.
So is she like you have somebody to talk to about these decisions, because that's kind of like if you're just like a single guy making these decisions without like really being able to bounce it off somebody. It's like freaking, it's a nightmare already. Of course. And then it's like you're just shouldering this yourself without like a significant other to kind of like lean on a little bit. It's even worse. For sure. Right? So, okay. So fast forward now, you have both surgeries done, or you have both hips. Yep. What is it called again? Resurfaced. Yeah. And what happens?
My wife is totally supportive of it. I took this leap of faith. I really thought to myself, I said, because I came out of the doctor's office and I remember being in New York City, and I think I talked about this on another podcast, and I was sitting somewhere in Midtown or wherever it was, and I just sat down. I was like crying by myself, and I wasn't really too worried about anybody kind of looking at me. I was just like, what the fuck am I going to do now? Like, this is everything to me, my martial arts, my training, to why I got into martial arts. And now it's all being taken away from me. So I was like, all right.
Do you own a gym at that time too? No,
nothing.
So you're just training with somebody else?
I'm just training with somebody else. I didn't even have a job then. There was nothing.
This was the training was the job?
Training was the job, kind of. I was working for a catering company, and then, practicing here and there. Just nothing that was bringing in real income per se. Sure. But my goal was to open up my own place, especially after the injury, because I found out I like teaching a lot. So I was like, okay, the goal is to open up my own place. But how am I going to open up my own place when I have two messed up hips, right?
Got a walker. Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Shrimp.
Yeah.
Shrimp down the mat.
You do that. You do that. No, move your hips that way. Show me, coach. I can't.
Wow.
So I was crying outside, and I thought to myself, it's like the rocking chair theory. I was like, if I'm older and I'm going through this situation, and I know that I didn't take this chance, will I be happy with the chance not have taken it? And the answer was no. So I was like, fuck it. We're going to go in, just going to fail forward. Whatever happens, happens. I'm going to take this leap of faith. I was like on the way into surgery that morning into New York City for the double hip replacement. I was like throwing up. I was so nervous. I was totally out of myself. I mean, I elected to do this. I elected to get double hip resurfacing, knowing that I won't be able to walk correctly for like 3 months. I won't be able to go to the bathroom myself. Somebody will have to bathe me. My poor wife has to take care of it. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, when you're on pain pills, you can't shit for weeks. Okay?
Get backed up.
You feel fucking hard. I ran fevers of like 105. I had to go back to the hospital because I thought I had an infection in my hips. I mean, just imagine, I elected to not walk, to not be able to shit, for my wife to help me to go to the bathroom and bathe me for 3 months. Over 3 months, man. It was like one of the worst times of my life. I elected to do that.
Wow.
It's like you're electing yourself for pain in hopes that after you're going to see the light. And I did. So there was a lot of things that I did during that time, to really help me. But to answer your other question, you said, how long did it take before I felt really good? I felt fucking horrible for months, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't walk. Just imagine. Go home, lay down in your bed, and act like you can't move your hips or your pelvis. Go ahead, try it. Just try it. You can't get up, go to the bathroom.
Nightmare.
You got to pee in a plastic.
Catheter, right?
Yeah.
Catheter.
No, just like a plastic bin. You're running a fever constantly. You can't eat anything. You can't go to the bathroom. It's wicked, dude.
So when did you realize? Okay, were there times during that process you're like, I understand. I'm not gonna be able to train. This is it.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about? What are you gonna do with the rest of your life?
What am I gonna do the rest of my life? I just go to another job. I'll go work for the county. I'll go do something different. And one of my friends during the time was like, hey man, your mind needs to be stronger than your body right now, because your body can't be strong. And I'm like, I know, I'm fucking weak as shit. And he's like, your mind needs to be stronger than your body. And I'm like, he's right. So this is where I started like doing that black belt mindset thing, the program that I have, where it's like, I wake up every fucking morning and I put on pumping iron, or I put on some motivational thing, and I'm in a lawn chair in my fucking living room, picking up 2-pound weights and doing this motion. It sounds funny to me now, but during that time, I haven't eaten in a fucking week. I'm dehydrated. I can't move my hips. I'm pumping iron, and all I'm thinking about is in my mind is like how strong I'm going to be, how good I feel, how much better I'm going to be. So I'm like priming myself for success later. Even though my body is weak, I'm priming my mind, and I did it every fucking day.
Yeah.
I did it every day. Because what I was feeding my mind was telling my body. And that's when I started doing this whole like mental thing of black belt mindset and priming myself and setting myself up for success, right? Because whether we know it or not, we're priming ourselves every single day. Every time you pick up your phone, every time you talk to somebody, every time you look at the news, every time you look at something, you're priming yourself for that thing. So I had to take my focus and put it on the positive of like how I'm going to make myself better and stronger. And I made myself better and stronger, no matter if I had a bad day or not. If I had a bad day, I was like, man, this is a fucking bad day. But I held a little bit of faith of like, all right, it was a fucking bad day. All good. I had a shitty day. I make it, you know, I do my best. And just tomorrow I get up and I fucking do it again.
We talked on the last episode about the power of the secret. I don't know if you know, like the book, The Secret, you know, right? So it's, you become what you attract, right? You know, you are a good person and a positive person. You're going to attract those people. If you're a negative person, you're going to attract negative people that are going to feed that. Yeah, I knew I was right. That is shit. You know, right? Like you're just going to, you know, those people usually tend to like form groups. So, I mean, essentially you positive thinking, right? You positive thinking, get your mind in the right place. And, you know, you set yourself on a path to success and to being that in the future. How long did it take before you were actually able to like really start to walk around?
More than positive thinking, because, you know, I'm big on Tony Robbins. I don't know if any of your viewers are, but he will say the same thing. Positive thinking is bullshit. It's affirmations and you feel it in your body. When you go do jiu-jitsu and you punch a bag, you do jiu-jitsu, you're doing the affirmation of the movement and you're talking about it and you're doing it, okay? Thinking is just thinking. Okay? If you're thinking it and doing it, now it's in your body. Now you can feel it, right? Think about when you've made a move to do something drastic in your life. We all have. You felt confident because you could feel it. You're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do this because I can feel it, and I'm going to do it because I have like this little feeling, whether it's big or small. You're like, I know I have this feeling that I can do this thing, or I can take that leap of faith. Like I have that tiny bit of feeling that like, I'm going to make it work. Right? Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So it's more of a feeling, not the thinking, but the thinking can prime you for the feeling, right? What you think and then you feel. Motion creates emotion. So when I'm moving my body or we're moving our body, we get like endorphins, right? We're like, oh, now I can start thinking better, right? So we start thinking about like, this is how people usually think about, and this relates completely to this. This is how people think about problems, okay? People usually think story, strategy, state. That's how they usually figure out problems, right? Okay, I'm in my mind. What am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, now I'm going to think about the strategy of how I'm going to do it, and then I'll change my state, okay? When we should be thinking about problems, state, story, story, strategy. When you move your body, when we all work out, do you feel better after?
Always.
Are you thinking more clearly?
Always.
Do you have a better look on life?
Always.
Okay, so it goes state, you change your body, your state, your physical state, and then your story changes in your head, and then you can change your strategy. But you can't change your strategy with positive thinking unless you start moving your body and you start getting in a positive mood, right? Like, when's the last time you ever thought your way out of something? Like completely just thought your way out of it. You're like, I sat there for 4 hours and I thought my way out of it.
No, not like a real world problem.
When does it really happen? You're walking after jiu-jitsu. You had a good
Mind
workout.
is clear and you're like,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So your state, your story changes, and then your strategy can change.
You know, with jiu-jitsu, like my coach is always talking about like, there's, we joke and we call it him now, but he's just like, there's that little guy on your shoulder when like you're, okay, it's time to get ready for jiu-jitsu, time to go. And it's like, there's that little guy that's like, I can miss today. Yeah. Right. Or, oh man, I just ate. Or like, I'm sore from yesterday. And I call it, I'm like, as soon as I feel it, I go, Felipe's on my shoulder. I hear Felipe, like we have a joke. He always says, it's a choice. It's a choice to come in. You want to train? It's a choice. You make a choice. You make the choice to stay home. You make the choice. You know, that's on you. It's like a little bit of a guilt trip. So we like, there's my coach, little Felipe right there going, it's a choice, man. And you're like, fuck, man. And you start getting it. And you start, you know, I know for me, you know, it's like, I think we've all seen like a meme about like a guy putting on his gi and then like you feel like a warrior. Like as soon as if I see myself, I put my rash guard on and I'm like, see myself in the bathroom and then I'm just like, all right, let's fucking rock. Like I could be feeling really shitty, headache, stress from the day. And as soon as I start getting ready, I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to fucking go to battle. Yeah. Like, you have to get your mind in the right place too, because you're about to train and like, you know, guys are going to try to choke you. You can't be like, let me, you know, you can't be, it's what is it like? It's like Pavlov's dogs,
Yeah.
right? With the
Ring the
bell.
bell.
For me, as soon as I grab my gi and my rash guard and I start putting stuff on, I'm like, okay, it has to change. You have to. I could be having the worst day, and as soon as I start getting ready, I'm just like, all right, we're gonna fucking rock. And I do always know. I relate that. I already know how I'm gonna feel in 2 hours.
Yeah.
I know how amazing I'm going to feel, no matter how I feel going in, that I'm going to feel so much better. The stress is going to be gone. My mind's working on problems when I don't even, this guy's trying to choke me, but my mind back here is working on a problem that I might have, business or family or whatever. And I come out and like, there's like such clarity.
Correct.
Right. In those things, right? It's like, it kind of like takes, it's like Windexing the brain. It's like let's get all this bullshit out of the way, make everything clear. And then you come out of that. Right.
Yeah.
And even if you have a bad training session, there's those jokes about like, driving all the way home with like the radio off, like, you know, even in those moments, so like there's such clarity around your other problems. Yeah, you might have gotten your ass handed, you might have been the nail that day, but there's still so much clarity around it. I know for me that's how it works. I mean, it doesn't matter how good or bad the training was. I feel way better that I did it.
Yes,
and it's just like another notch.
Because you change your state, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
your state changes, and now your story changes, and now you can start changing your strategy on how you're thinking about that thing.
So you get back. So okay, so. Post-surgery, you get back to, do you go right into opening a gym? Or do you go back to training? When does your first gym come about?
So probably about 6 or 8 months after, starting to go around the corner. I'm like, okay, time to open up the gym. I'm starting to feel good. Not like, 100% good jumping up and down.
You did not have a gym before the surgery?
No.
Okay.
Nothing. So I borrowed $2,000 from my dad, put down... the first month on this really shitty shopping center. I put down the first month because the landlord was like, just give me first month. And I'm like, all right, cool. He drew up a 12-month contract. We signed it, and then I put the mats in and put a credit card down, put in the mats, and that was it.
And you're off.
And then we were off. It wasn't smooth off, but I was off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on down here now? Are you
actively
opening?
searching for a spot,
looking for a place? Where are you going to be? Are you going to stay in Boca, or?
I think there's a spot in Coral Springs.
I'm sorry, I keep on saying Boca because I think when we originally spoke, you said you were moving to Boca.
Correct.
Okay, so that's what I had in my mind. So say Coral Springs. So where do you think you're going to be? You're going to try to be out close to the house?
Close to Parkland.
Yeah.
There's nothing really up by Parkland.
There's no jiu-jitsu though.
Yeah, because commercial real estate is so scarce. There's nothing over there
and
to open.
It's expensive.
And it's expensive.
And then Parkland's expensive.
But there's nothing actually in Parkland itself because, as you know, a commercial in Parkland is only that one little spot. But then everything on the outskirts, near Wiles and everything else, that's where there's opportunity. But nobody has anything, in my opinion, that is really catering to everybody.
Sure. I mean, a lot of when you say everybody, you mean like different disciplines?
Different disciplines, but also no gi.
Okay.
I've researched. I went to different gyms. I talked to people. They maybe do one gi one day a week, no gi 1 day a week. Nobody else does striking. Nobody else does combatives. Nobody else does street week.
Yeah, I think like
everything's
American Top Team has the monopoly, or I shouldn't say, they had the monopoly pre-COVID at the HQ.
Yeah,
because you had amateurs could go in, kids. They had a kids program, amateur program, right? That stopped.
Okay.
During COVID, they never went back to opening up to the public.
That's a problem.
So now that definitely changed in the area. And again, for our area, you're talking about Coconut Creek, Coral Springs, right? Parkland, right? Yeah. There is you have to go, I think, a lot further north and south to find anybody that's mixing everything up.
Correct.
That's got programs that introduce kids to we jiu-jitsu. I always say we're super bougie. We think it's like the best martial art. Like people that just do jiu-jitsu. My first gym, we were doing Muay Thai, we were doing stand-up, we were doing MMA days. Gloves on, a little ground and pound. We took it easy on the ground. Like once you get to the ground, okay, now work on your jiu-jitsu, a little less, ground and pound. But hey, Bo, you looking for the bathroom? No? Okay. So my first, so I came from that environment, and then when I left that gym closed, I found another gym, and we're jiu-jitsu specific. Now I do miss, kind of the stand-up side of things, but I'm also at 50, like getting hit in the face, coming out with a black eye, or, just fucking, to have to be running a business and talking to clients online, you got a fucking black eye. I could do without that, although I do miss it. But I've always had like a punching bag that I just hit on my own for like exercise. I'm not trying to go train to be in the cage, just doing it for myself, for the exercise, self-defense. But I miss that. But you're right that there's not a lot of that, not in this, like these 3-4 towns in this area. You have to go like down Davie, Sunrise, like a lot of American Top Teams that are spread out. They do their stand-up programs. I think they opened, there's an American Top Team and there's one that opened, that's not Deerfield. There's already one in Deerfield. I believe there's one that opened like Coconut Creek or Coral Springs, right? Christian saying, yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's one in like Creek now that was like, okay, we're not taking any more, we're not doing, anything open to the public anymore. And then they opened that gym. I think they specifically like, hey, bro, like open a gym. Got ya. Like they had a guy, I don't know his name, but so now there's an American Top Team that I believe is doing like all of those things. Got ya. So yeah, so like I know like down in Sunrise, Robert Kroll, he was just at this last UFC. I forget who's his fighter. I forget who his fighter is. He had some young kid that was I think on the prelims. He's got an American Top Team location. I think he's American Top Team Sunrise. Okay. Even though, like he's moved around from Davie, but I think it's always been called Sunrise. So like he's part of American Top Team, but he has a place where he's he's at the cage and gym. His son fought, but he's like big. I don't know. Do you know Roger Kroll? No. Yeah, like he does a lot of the stand up for American Top Team, and I know like he's he trains guys at HQ as well. But like that's like you gotta find it. Yeah, you gotta know where to put it. I know there's A&M. My buddy runs a jiu-jitsu program there. It's the old Sanford MMA down here in Fort Lauderdale. Okay. But it's kind of like you rent the mat. Like he rents the mat for his jiu-jitsu. He's got something going on. I don't know if he's going to be taking it over completely, but then like then another company, another guy comes in and does like the stand-up side. So then there's like he gets off the mat, with his guys, and he might have just a whole different class, a whole bunch different students that don't do jiu-jitsu that come and do stand-up, or like pros that, most people know the place. It's like a golf karting place right off of 95. Okay. Called Extreme Action Park, but it's a big, huge. I know where it is. Right. Yep. So down there, it used to be like something 360 and Sanford MMA, but like people know, like they go there. The Arte Suaves are there. So if you go to the back. Like you have to walk, you don't walk through his gym, but if you go through the karting place to the back, there's a basketball court behind the gym. It's like a huge warehouse. So it's like jiu-jitsu in the front, mats in the front, bags, then like a huge, like it looks like a football field where people come in, like football players come in and train. Like a trainer can come in and train his one guy. Yep. There's weights in there. And in the back, there's a big freaking like basketball gym, and that's where they do like Arte Suaves and some of the tournaments. Oh wow! Right there in the back of that gym. So he doesn't own that, but like he does his jiu-jitsu classes on the mats. But that's what that place is. But that's like another place where like there's a mix of everything. Yeah. But it's still like different schools doing it. It's different coaches, different schools. It's not like one company. Now Drew might have something going on. I saw him posting like something's coming soon. Yeah. Like they're expanding or something's. I think he might even be changing his name. I'm not sure. But yeah, like so I know those places, but I don't know a lot of others besides those that do, unless you go up to like West Palm Beach or further south. Correct. So there's a niche to be filled. Yeah, for sure. And what was it like your nickname, like the Striking Wizard, right? I think I put it on your first one. Striking Wizard. I think I saw it on your Instagram, but it was like Striking Wizard. Where did that come from? Was that your own nickname? Is that like some? Yeah, my own nickname. When I was in the boxing gym, it was the Vice. The Vice. The Vice Vinch. The Vice Vinch. Yeah. Charlie the Vice Vinch. Yeah, and the guys used to have a joke. The kids in the inner city used to have a joke. They used to be like, yeah, for this dude, you're gonna need a gun for this guy. Oh yeah. Yeah. Hey Christian, you want to spar a little bit later? Yeah.
I'm cool.
Yeah, you good?
After last night, yeah. I'm cool.
I know how to control it though. You're right. Like so, back to the niche thing of opening up the gym. You just said, "Hey, I don't want to go to striking class because I don't want my face beat up." I think that most of the gyms just take the wrong approach into training people. Right? They think that everybody wants to be a fighter, and then they try to train everybody like a fighter, and then that's how they lose retention. But that's also how you can lose a great martial artist, right? Because we talked about in the last podcast, jiu-jitsu and MMA are the only sports where people think that they can go 0 to 100 in 2 weeks, right? It's the only sport where people think in jiu-jitsu world, who own businesses, who are bad at running business, in my opinion, think that people need to be learning in this advanced way so fast, and then they're ready to spar in like a month or 2 weeks. Maybe some people are, but the majority of people are not, right? if you wanted to become an Olympic boxer and you wanted to learn boxing and you went into Freddie Roach's gym, how fast do you think that he would put you in the ring with the professional boxer?
Not fast at all.
Okay.
Right. You're gonna be training for months, if not years, before you really get in there with somebody
He's
serious.
going to have you skipping rope and doing footwork and learning to punch in the mirror before you even probably hit pads with anybody, right?
Sure.
So why is it any different in the jiu-jitsu world? We think we're like this big exception.
Yeah, I mean, I think like lots of places or the smart places have a competition class.
Either advanced or competition.
Or competition, yeah. Those
Correct.
are kind of interchangeable, I think.
Correct.
So, like my school does that.
Smart.
You know, like Friday is just like, I was watching a text chain. They're doing some morning classes now, and it's just like, listen, this is advanced drilling. And it was a blue belt, and it was just like, this is advanced drilling for people who want to compete.
Mm-hmm.
So like they're adding slowly. It's funny, like my coach, as his son gets older, I think it's like he's 16 now. He's a coach there, you know. So I think as he's getting a little bit older, you know, like he can be there. He has guys coming in now to train him, and he does a lot of competing. So I'm not saying like he's running the class or anything like that, but it's changed as the system is getting older. We have a lot of the kids that have been there for 10 years, longer than I've been with my coach, that are now adults, like, you know, started at 6 or 7 and they're 17, 18. Yeah. They've been training 10 years, and I'm, you know, we're training with these guys. So, yeah, I mean, a good school, I think, you know, has those distinctions, you know, they have those lines. And then it's just like, hey, white belt, look, this is an advanced class. You can come in, you got the drive to do it, but know that this is about competing, or know that this is advanced technique. But not everybody does that.
I don't even let, if we have 2 different classes, I'm not even letting the white belt come into the advanced class. It's just, it's confusing them. You know, they can watch, but to do class, just, you know, it doesn't make sense. I mean, they need to be in the basics class. They need to get it really good. They can do positional sparring there. They can even, you know, unless there's an example of they have a wrestling background, or now we make an exception. We're talking about everyday person. They've never done anything like that. And we talked about it in the last podcast. I know that was controversial for some people. I'm quitting if I can't roll in the first month. I quit. All right, cool. Then we're not the school for you. Yeah. That's what I say.
Yeah. I
hey,
remember that. I put out that clip. Yeah.
We're not the school. I'm not the school for you then. There's a place down the street. They'll be happy to, you know, put you in the mix. You'll last a couple months and then you'll quit.
But that's part of it. Like, you have to find a gym. You are paying. You are the student.
Amen.
You have to find the gym that is right for you.
Correct.
And you also, as a gym owner, get to say, we're not the right gym for you, right? Like, if you have a student that's in there just fucking like trying to throw flying arm bars on the new on the trial guy, or in your case, if they're doing striking, you know, trying to knock some new guy's head off, or fighting hard with a girl, you know.
We had that incident.
You know, I remember being in a place where I was learning Muay Thai. The very first gym I went to before I was even doing jiu-jitsu, I did Muay Thai. They had a ring. I went in the ring, and we were supposed to be doing some light sparring. And there was a couple of guys that were amateur fighters. They were there to fight. That was their job. They were training. And this fucking guy gave me an uppercut. And the fucking coach was like, stop! Like, I didn't even get to react. I had, like, rang my bell, like stars, little birdies, Yikes. You know? It's like, what just happened here? I'm thinking, you know, at least my 50% and his 50% were not the same, right?
Correct.
So I've been in that situation, and that guy kind of got in trouble. He's like, dude, look, first of all, you know, I kind of always looked a little bit younger. I'm in my 40s. This guy's like in his 20s. Yeah. He's trying to take my head off, but, you know, he's just, I kind of think the guy was just an asshole. He was trying to take advantage of the situation. Like, I'm just going to fucking knock these guys around, you know? But I think, you know, if you have a good coach, I've heard you talk about this. If you have a good coach, he's not even going to put anybody in those positions. No, you're not fighting with this guy over here. You're going over here. You're going over here. Yeah. You guys, I should not have been in the ring with somebody who's training, who wants to go pro. Yeah. Not at you know, in my 40s.
And the coach of the gym, their responsibility is to make sure everybody's protected, making sure that they're advancing, and making sure that they're progressing, right? That's yes, other people, when you're an adult, you should also take that upon yourself, but the coach should be aware of the whole room, of what's going, of kind of the vibe and who's who and what's what. Like, you have to be responsible for that. If you are not, you're just being lazy, in my opinion. You're just being lazy. So yeah, I wouldn't let that matchup happen. And also, you know, if you came to the gym and you wanted to do striking, and make sure that, you know, you weren't going to spar right away. You get your hands really good first, and then you can do positional sparring. Then you can do just jabs, and then you can when you feel comfortable, ramp it up. If you don't want to ramp it up, well, make sure that you partner with somebody where you can still excel without punching 100%. You're not getting ready for the UFC, are you?
No.
The other person in the gym probably isn't either. So plenty of the best striking coaches who I've ever, trained with say there's no point of going 100% unless you're going to be fighting.
Gotcha. I agree.
You could even argue and say, yeah, well, you need to go 100% to see what it's like to get punched and move hard. Yeah. All right, cool. You want to do it? Have at it. But I don't think that there's anything that you're going to actually benefit from in the long run by going 100% with somebody else who also doesn't know how to control themselves either. Besides, maybe you say, hey, I got some real world experience there. Okay, cool. I mean, you could have gotten it the same way without punching 100% too, right? People are like, oh, you got to know what it's like to get punched hard. I already know what it's like to get punched hard plenty of times. And I'll tell you from experience, you can't toughen your brain up or your chin by getting punched harder over time. It actually diminishes.
It always has to start though. Like I think I don't own a gym. I've been in coaching situations on both sides. It has to begin with what are that student and their goals.
Amen.
Right.
We talked about that last podcast.
Yeah. You have to start from there. What are your goals? There has to be a conversation. What are you here for?
Yep.
Because I've absolutely told people that have asked me about jiu-jitsu, or like, oh, I want, younger people, I want to fight, or like somebody has kids. I tell them, find a good school. My school is really great with kids. If you're in my area, come to my school. If you're not in my area, find a school that has a good bullying program. They have some type of like anti-bullying. Anti-bullying, bulletproof. Like Gracie said, the bulletproof program. I don't know if they still run it under that same name.
Yeah.
But like, find a school that does that. Like, why you want to get little Johnny into jiu-jitsu or martial art? Oh, he's getting bullied. Or hey, he's active. He's a good school with a good bullying anti-bullying program is a great start for adults. And I'll like teens to adults, if they're again, they think that they want to fight. I go, listen, go check out American Top Team up the road. Back when it was when they would take in people off the street before it was just all pro at the HQ. I'd be like, ATT.
Yeah.
You want, because you're going to get a real taste of whether or not you could do this pretty quickly.
Do you want to do it or not?
Yeah, you are going to be getting it. You want to fight, and they probably are going to throw you in with somebody who's going to kind of
tune you up.
Yeah, tune you up a little bit, and you're going to find out if you really want to do this. So they're going to try to figure out if you really have the the balls for this.
Sure.
But yeah, it definitely starts there, and you got to figure it out. I mean, I've always called myself a hobbyist. Some people are like, you shouldn't call yourself a hobby. I'm a hobby. I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing this for competition, which I've done some. I competed at the lower belts. Might maybe want to compete. Like if I retire or hand my company over to my daughter, and I have more time and I can really put in what I believe it takes today to compete.
Yeah.
When you're, especially like on the cusp of black belt, now, you're master. I guess I'd be like, it's over 50. Is that executive? What over 50 is what?
I thought it was like over 52 or something was executive.
Okay. So if masters or executive, but you get into at black belt. I'm a new black belt. There are black belts that have been there for a decade.
Correct.
Even longer, right? 20 years at black belt. So it's just like, that's a whole different beast that you have to think about. So you have to really be on point, not only technique, strength, cardio, like you have to have everything, even if you want to compete at an amateur level, because you could go into one of these competitions and be fighting somebody who is a competitor, right? Like IBJJF, new breed. There's no distinction between, look at Demetrius Johnson, right? He just won the IBJJF Masters in Vegas.
I saw that.
But I'm sure that there were guys that showed up, and maybe they saw him on the, that he signed up. But there are guys that showed up and were like, I'm a hobbyist. I'm a lawyer, doctor, dentist, garbage man during the day. Yeah, I train 3 to 5 times a week, and I show up and I'm going to fight a world champion or the 1FC world champion. I'm going to go in and fight that. Like that's like, I think that's ridiculous. I think there needs to be some if you're a pro, you're a pro. You're fighting here. But the fact that you can show up, you can be an amateur hobbyist fighting. I think some people like that. Like Miguel, my old co-host, who's going to be back next week, by the way. I think that's great that I can go out there and fight some guy that was in the UFC or currently. Yeah,
good for him.
I think that it's like I think that's a little crazy for the average hobbyist, I think that winds up being like a little bit of a deterrent for them to maybe fight again or to show up. Yeah, but yeah. Agree? You agree?
No, I agree.
I think that there should be a distinction between like you're over here. This is the pro side of IBJJF, even at that tournament, and then this is the. But then you know what constitutes a hobbyist, and what constitutes somebody who's a pro. Like
Correct.
you know, is doing lots of tournaments make you a pro? You know, or is it like if you're in an organization, if you get paid by an organization, okay, is that now you're a pro?
Sure.
You know, so it's just. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Not that I don't compete post-heart. I had a heart attack. You know, right? We talked about that. I had a heart attack like 7 years ago. After I competed once after that, and I was like, "Ooh, this is different." Like my cardio just wasn't in the same. My heart rate was like going up really fast. It's not like that anymore. So now I'm like, "Oh, maybe I could." But then again, and now it's like, okay, you're higher level. You're starting at a higher level. If I go in and I'm competing at black belt, it's like again, now you're not that it's a scary prospect. It's just like. You're going in knowing like you're at a complete disadvantage to somebody who's been training 20 years. So it's just like, am I just their grappling dummy at this point? I feel like I'm a realist in that. I know I've talked to some people who've been like, fuck that, I'll fight anybody. And I'm like, I know, that's great.
Yeah.
But, you know, you probably, you know, I want to go in there and I want to go up against somebody. I want to be matched equally.
Yeah.
Weight, experience. Now, I don't care about how much they train. Like, match me at somebody at brown belt or black, whatever. Let's just say brown belt. I'm still a brown belt. Let's match me up with somebody at brown belt who's my weight, my age, with my experience, right? I think that that's what I'm looking for, and I just don't think that a lot of the organizations have that as much anymore. Anytime I've done a new breed, everyone was half my age. My first new breed at white belt, everyone was half my age. Now, even at that time, they're talking about 9 years ago, I always looked younger than I was. So nobody realized that I was older than them, but these guys were in their 20s.
Yeah, in my mind, that's a disadvantage on your end, 20-year-old.
So these guys, you know, I double golded my first one at white belt. So that was, nice. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm awesome at jiu-jitsu. Then at blue, I competed a couple of times. I got a gold, and that's like, I mean, not a ton of competing, but it was always when the new breeds came to Coral Springs, I would do the new breeds. Got another gold at blue, purple, clock cleaned. That was post heart attack. I always said that I was going to compete at very least once at every belt. And when I got the purple, that was like post heart attack, and I was like, I can do it. I'm feeling better.
Wasn't the case.
Got out there, man. I was just like so tired immediately, and it wasn't like I screwed something up. It was just like that heart. Like just starts pumping, or at that time started pumping like really, really super fast. And now I'm thinking about my heart, like, am I about to have another heart attack, or is it like just, you know? So I couldn't do it. And then I just didn't. I hadn't competed again. Then blew out the knee, COVID, blah, blah, blah. Excuse. But, you know, insert excuse here. So I feel like I want to do it, but it's got to be where I can really prepare.
Sure.
And
has to be your goal.
Yeah. You know, and I get like some people are like, oh, fucking, I train 3 days a week and I go do them, and win or lose, I'm great. And I'm just like,
that's not you.
I went through that in the beginning. I did that in the beginning.
I'm with you.
And now at a higher level, I'm like, no, you know, this is a different level. This is, you know, heel hooks and, you know, knee bars, and, you know, there's so much more that you can, there's so much more at stake, and so much more that you can do in a no-gi match, or even in a, you know, just at a higher level. It's a different game, and you've got to be on point in all aspects of the game.
You want to be fully prepared to do this endeavor if this is going to be the thing you're going to do, and you don't want to be like, I half-assed it. You're like me. When I do something, I open up a gym, or I'm going to put my energy into something, I don't do like, oh, I'm just kind of do it. You're kind of like me, like, I got to go in 100% on this. I got to make sure that this is in line, and if it's not, it's just not worth it. You know, it's your goal, right? If that's going to be your goal, you're going to make sure you're hitting everything on point.
I want to compete. I feel like I think I need to, like, I don't think I could be a 3. I'm not right now, but you know, at times I've been a 3-day-a-week guy. I don't think that I can go in, be successful, be in the shape that I need to be in to training jiu-jitsu 1 hour a day, 3 times a week. I think it requires way more than that in this environment, even when you're talking about amateur jiu-jitsu tournaments. You know, again, that are mixed in with people that might be fighting in other organizations, right? So I just, not shitting. I have shit on on competing a little bit in the past, but it's not. I'm not necessarily shitting on it like it's horrible. I think that it could be cleaned up a little bit. Like I'm not a big fan of the steroids, and I'm not, Now you're talking about it's a whole different beast. I remember when I went to the new breeds in the beginning, it was just like there wasn't hardly anybody there. Yeah. And now it's packed, and you're seeing like all the coaches and all the gym owners, and now they're giving out team trophies and all that stuff. Like it's changed. Like it's serious, even at the new breed level. The JJFs are like I've been down to the Miami Open. It is nuts.
They're well run.
They're well run, and people are prepared. And I feel like I need to.
They're prepared.
Yeah.
Like you said, you want to be hitting on all cylinders. My first grappling match, you can pull it up on YouTube, is in a boxing ring in New York City. That was my first. It was called Masters of the Mat with Carmine Zucchi.
A tournament or just like a super fight match?
It was a tournament.
Yeah.
So if you go on YouTube and you put in my name, you can see my I think I had 3 matches or 2 matches that day. We were 30 pounds difference, and then we did a super fight at the end, and it was in a boxing ring in New York City. Carmine Zucchi, the guy's name is. There it is, right there. And I mean, like, what happens if we fall out of the ring? Then I hit my head on the pavement, and it was just like we're grappling on the bottom.
This is like pride fighting days, right? But it was MMA.
I was 19 there, so we're going over 20 years ago, and I remember just hitting the ground and being like, "Man, this thing is stiff," and there's a bunch of people there. It's like it feels like this. It's the.
Did you win that match? I don't know if we'll be able to watch the whole thing.
No, I triangled him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I triangled this dude. Watch. Boop. I'm going to jump my legs up in a sec.
Oh.
Got him. Hook his leg. And we'll put him out. Hook the leg. Nice. This is over 20 years ago, right? So, listen, that guy I was grappling was probably grappling as much as me, right? Like, but now like you said, we're at this whole new level of like, people are taking it more serious, right? People are more into it. Whereas then it was like, I was a teenager. I was going as much as I could. And they said, there's this tournament. So it was kind of more evenly keeled. But now you still have your hobbyists who are going up against people who are like, no, I'm going to dedicate my whole life to this. And it's like, be prepared. Like, if that's what you're going to do, be prepared to maybe be outworked by somebody who just is more dedicated to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, if I feel like if I could, I mean, I'm saying it and I'm almost like, stop being a bitch. I just feel like I really do want to, if I go in, I want to be evenly matched.
Yeah.
And the main thing though is the age. There are when I was going to the new breeds, again, I don't know about it. I never did an IBJJF. I would always do the new breeds. It was here. It was just like, oh, let me go locally. It's right here.
Yeah.
That was my level of commitment at the time of what I wanted. It's here. I'm going to do it. I got to go to work tomorrow. There was never anybody my age. I always went in with grouped me in. So like I might be heavier, like my weight might have been heavier, but they were putting me with guys. So it was like, again, I would love to do it if I haven't had the experience where I am fighting people my age.
Yeah.
I think I did one fight with a guy my age the entire time, right?
It's unmatched. No, it's unmatched. We've said that with my coach. Yeah. So my coach right now that runs the school in New Jersey, he did the IBJ, or he was going to do the IBJF, but he blew his knee out right beforehand. But same thing happened to him. He's like, dude, I didn't do that good that match. I was like, dude, you're going against a 20-year-old who wrestled in college. He's been doing this, jiu-jitsu for a while now. Like, you're almost 50. Like, why did you think that you were going to totally outclass a 20-year-old who wrestled Division I, who's been doing jiu-jitsu for the past 5 or 7 years?
Yeah,
it's mismatched. Now, in my mind, it is mismatched.
I give a lot of credit to somebody like this is this Facebook guy that's fighting now. What's Facebook guy's name? Who's the owner of Facebook? Who started Facebook? What's his name?
Zuckerberg.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Zuckerberg. For him to go out there, knowing that half of the population hates him. Yeah. Right, you could just pretty much like put a line down the middle.
Yeah.
Half the population hates him, half the people love him. But to walk out there on a jiu-jitsu, I mean, did he use his real name when he signed up? I don't know. But that's balls to walk out there knowing that people already don't like you.
Yeah.
And it's you got a 50-50 shot that the guy already doesn't like you because he has his views about Facebook and politics and whatever. And then to go out there and if you suck, you're immediately a meme.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody's recording, and now you're the meme and whatever they're gonna. And I mean, I don't see it in my feed. people gave him props.
I do.
He did well, right? He gave him props. His
balls for getting out there.
It's balls for getting out there and even trying. And now this whole, what do you think about this whole like Elon Zuckerberg? I don't think this is ever going to happen. People are like, oh yeah, it's happening. UFC is going to be on Fight Pass. I don't think it ever happens.
I don't think so either.
I don't think it ever happens. I don't think it happens because I don't think the risk of losing and becoming the joke, right? You lose in a bad way.
Credibility in some sense.
Yeah, right. Now, like if he was to, like, Elon shits the bed and just looks like shit.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're a fucking meme.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just like people think you're a joke. And I think that it does, like, it's a PR nightmare for him and the company. So I don't think it's worth the risk. There's no, on the reward side, what's the reward? I beat up the Facebook guy?
Yes, for Elon and so if it does happen,
right?
If it does happen, it's really about both of their egos internally. Nothing, it really doesn't have to do with, I mean, I don't think the public's view of that one of them winning would sway their net worth at all. It would just become memes. And, guys like that really don't give a shit what a lot of people think anyway, because they're doing stuff that they could care less. So I think it really is more about, if it does happen or if this is really real, it's more about both of their egos. I just don't like you as a person, and I just want to beat you because I have this primal thing in me, and I want to see you lose. I think that it's kind of like that. If they did fight, who do you think wins? I'd like Elon to win, but Zuckerberg, I think, will win. I just think MMA fight or jiu-jitsu match? Either. Okay, how long do they have to prepare? Would hypothetical, like, let's say they have 6 months, right? Well, an average fighter is going to have 12 weeks to prepare for a fight. So let's say 12 weeks, 3 months. Zuckerberg, if they have 6 months or more and Elon knows what's going on, I think that he's smart enough to up his skills in some way, shape, or form, and he's very crafty to make it very competitive. Yeah. But right now, if they're to step, I mean, Zuckerberg all the way. I think Zuckerberg younger, and as far as we know, I mean, he's been training for some time. Like, he trained before it became public, right? So he was training, and then now we know that he's training, and then he started doing the tournaments. I just think that he's put a little bit more into it. Yeah. I think, again, he's younger, feels like he's very much focused on learning and doing better. And now you see these guys like you got Musumeci. Yeah. With Zuckerberg, right? Zuckerberg. And then you got like Lex. Yep. And I guess he's St. Pierre, right? Danaher squad. So like you got those, like that line down the middle, right? So he's got a smart team on the side. Elon's got a smart team, man. It would be fun. It'd definitely be fun to watch. I would watch it. I'd pay for the pay-per-view. It would be the biggest fight in history. I just don't think it ever happens. I don't think, even though, like, if you say, let's do it for charity. Yeah. I just don't think that it ever happens again because of the PR side of it. It's like there's not a lot of upside for you. There's not a lot to gain other than, again, the memes, the positive memes that for the guy that wins versus, as soon as somebody comes out and they start fucking flailing around and, like, the skill goes out the door, like, that's just a fucking meme. And again, now you just, do you care? Like you said, I don't think they care. Is the billionaire fucking watching all the shit that's being posted around him? I don't know. Maybe, owns Twitter or X, whatever the hell it's called now, right? I think if it were up to both of them, and I have so many thoughts about it. I think if it was up to both of them and they could fight in private, and not even televise it, I think Elon would definitely do it. And maybe just train together, like have a training session together. That happens. The thing, like Elon said, he's going to go to Zuckerberg's house. Did he really say that? He said something. He was like, I'm going to go. He's like, I'm going to go to your house and I'm going to knock on your door and we're going to fight like in the front yard or something. I'm like, whoa, he's mad. He's pulling a Tyson. I'm going to eat your babies. Yeah, maybe he's just trying to do it for an intimidating factor, or maybe he really just doesn't like the guy and he just wants to hurt him. Like there is a primal part of us that, it is hard to erase, like when you're really mad about something or you have like a thing for somebody, Yeah. I think that as much as we want to be, refined human beings, certain parts come out of us that, sometimes we're like, whoops.
I'm Team Zuckerberg, and it goes back to, from a practical perspective, it's just like younger, looks like he's been training longer.
Sure.
I think he can beat him, just like you're looking at skill level. But I loved when he posted send location. Do you right? To people that didn't know, that didn't understand that, they just didn't understand that. It was like send location. Okay, I get it. Like, hey, he'll fight him anywhere.
Send the location.
But the fact that was like a reference to Khabib.
Yeah, to Khabib.
And if he did it, especially if he came up with that himself and not like some PR guy that runs his social media, the fact that he posted that, just like his MMA IQ, like for me was like went up, and I was just like, that was like the best meme ever. That the guy, freaking Facebook. It's just the Facebook guy is like send location to another man because he wants to fight him. As soon as I saw that, I was just like, okay, I'm Team Zuckerberg on
You're
this.
Team Zuckerberg. What if Elon gets like a chip and puts it in his brain and he starts downloading? Seriously, he has something with pigs that he puts in there. What if he gets some? That's what I'm saying.
Talking about like, was it the Matrix? Almost like the Matrix, dude, right? Like he downloads jiu-jitsu.
He downloads. Yeah. I mean, that could be. I'm not going to put anything past Elon, right? Yeah. Like I would never put past like that. Elon is the kind of person that when he does something, kind of like when we talked about when he sets out to do something, he seems like the type of person who's like, I'm going to fucking win. Like I am not going to
puts everything into it. Yeah.
I am going to make sure that I win, and I'm going to find out a way to do it and make you wrong.
Yeah.
So I think if he were to actually take it on, he would figure out some way to absorb sort of knowledge from John and everybody, and
I agree, man, 100%. All right, so let's get into a couple of these listener questions.
Oh, I have some too. If you,
I got the ones that you sent me.
I have more.
You have a few more.
Yeah. Let's
do 3 so that we don't run too long on time.
Sure.
So I'll do 1. You do 1. Do 2. I don't care. Whatever. Sure. So, we talked about injuries. So we have Miguel Serra asks best ways to prevent or limit injuries, from the guy that was talking about hip replacements and resurfacing.
The best way to limit or wait 1 second here. I want to make sure I do this right for the next one.
Oh, these are all from Miguel.
I have some other ones here. Okay. So
best way to prevent or limit injuries.
I read something on Instagram here the other day from maybe it was like a performance doctor or somebody who's in the physical kind of realm. I don't think there's any way to completely prevent injuries. I think they can just happen at any time. I guess the best way would be just be smart about who you train with and know the intensity of what you train, and know that injuries can happen. I don't think there's any way to just to not have injuries. I think a good way to get injuries is to train stupid, to train 100% all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like, I've mentioned this before. My coach, when we're pairing up to spar or even to drill, he'll yell out, grab somebody that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like the 300-pound white belt is fighting a girl or the blue belt teenager who's 165. Like that just doesn't make sense.
Correct.
And like he definitely will switch us up. Be like, well, no. Like no. Go over here. You over here. Milk there. Milk. Grab this guy.
Smart.
And we do that. But I think that definitely helps. But I mean, I rolled with a guy this weekend. He was he's a friend of mine, a new friend. We're like business associates. We're in the same business group, and turned out he ex-Marine, teaches combatives, and is doing some things in that realm and as a civilian now, and he's a blue belt.
Cool.
So easily 265, 275.
Greasy jiu-jitsu combatives?
No, a Marine, the combatives program in the Marines.
Yep.
So we're rolling, and I say to him, the coach says, guys, first one, flow roll, no strength, and I'm like, flow roll, you good? Right? He's like, yeah, I can flow. But like, went at it. I'm like, maybe his 50% is, my 100%. Yeah. He went at it hard. I rolled with him a second time. I had him in a lockdown. He put his head right here at the bottom of my sternum, and he was just pushing pressure, and all of a sudden I hear pop.
On your sternum?
On my sternum. Oh. I hear pop. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, was that sound your head or did I just pop a rib? There's not a lot of pain there or anything, but something popped. Somebody told me that like you can actually crack those, like I guess like cracking your knuckles. Mm-hmm. Loudest pop I ever heard. I'm like, what the?
Any pain?
Not now. Then? No, not really. No, I don't have any pain. So he didn't break a rib. But point being, that guy, like there weren't a lot of big guys. And it was funny because he was like rolling with other people. I'm like, oh, God, this guy's going to hurt somebody here today. Because again, we're saying, let's roll. Let's flow. Yeah. Then he really went at it. Now, new environment for him. He hadn't trained in a while. Yep. He was definitely like out of breath early. So big dude, freaking like 6'4". Like,
oh shit!
Dude, yeah, big dude.
Monster.
Yeah. And so anyway, yes, I just think it's about how you pair up and who you train with to limit, right? The question is, how do you limit injury? You're going to limit it by rolling with people that make sense. Yep. And I think for me, I also want to say you've got to be able to you have to feel comfortable telling a training partner when they're doing something that you feel like is going to hurt you. Like, exactly. Hey, dude, the guy, we just said flow. The coach just said flow. So it's basically like, in my mind, that's like catch and release, movement, catch and release. You're not yanking on anything. Show the wrist lock, but don't wrench it. Show the Kimura, but don't fucking try to like rip the guy's arm off. That's what I see. At brown belt, I'm not scared to tell somebody that. Like, whoa. Yeah. I can elevate, or do we want to do the flow? Mm-hmm. I can elevate, you want to elevate. Okay, just let's be on the same page. Mm-hmm. And that happens, and nicely, not like, I'm going to rip your head off now. Like, I'm just like, oh, do you want to flow? I have training partners that I train with, and we look at each other, and it's like, we're not flowing, right? Okay, so let's go. So then we'll roll. But there's an agreement there. Yeah. And I think that at any belt level, you have to be okay with expressing that to the person that you're training with.
Don't be scared to tell somebody, hey, no thanks. Especially if they're dangerous, right? If they are a dangerous person to the gym and to themselves, don't be upset and just go, nah, next round, or nah, man, I'm good. I don't want to train with you. And some gyms have those kind of people where everybody's avoiding them, and
I'm usually one of the bigger guys in the gym, so I definitely get avoided by people like
really.
But I mean, I'm not because I'm like dropping my weight on them, but it's just like I'm the bigger guy. These guys are like under 200 pounds. I'm like walking around at 230. I have a little trick. I will give Miguel. Again, talking about being verbal. Like, make sure you talk to your partner. If you're going with somebody that's known to like have no control, or doesn't know how to flow, do not be scared to ask him to show you a move. You turn him into almost like a little bit of an instructor, right? And you're like, hey, you always get me in this thing. Do you mind if we start there? Can I start it on you? Can you start it on me? Can you just show me how to do that? Yeah. And it usually, I think it's like an ego boost for that person. Yeah. And then they go, okay, competitive hat off, and let me put on my instructor hat. And I know that I love to help people and instruct. So like, I know that works on me. Sure. But I'll definitely even like be like, with that person, I'll be like, all right, take my back. Like I'll put them in an advantageous position if I understand that they're like, okay, they don't want to go hard. But I think that's a little trick. If you're the white belt and there's the brown belt that has no flow with a white, like he just wants to rip everybody's head off, turn him into an instructor, ask him a question, ask him to teach you something, and it usually slows them down because now he's like, oh, I can't beat this guy. I have to show him this thing. Mm-hmm. And it usually, and also, if you're the white belt, you're usually the new guy there in the gym. You don't have a relationship with these people, so they don't know you, you don't know them. It definitely gets you in a place where now you're more familiar. Yeah. It's harder to beat up your best friend, right?
That's a good point.
Right? Yeah. So, all right, go ahead. Next question. You have one there?
So
Next
have one from NYY, New York Reg 12. Okay. Best advice for dealing with a knee injury and frustration with not being able to train at 100%. This kind of goes back into, what it's like to not be able to roll for. And just note here, between both hip surgeries, I didn't roll for almost 3 years, right? So when people are like, oh, I can't roll for a week or two or a month or two, I'm like, bro, listen, I've been there. Yeah. I've been there for a long time. I would say progress equals happiness. So set smaller goals. Think about maybe your diet. Maybe you can clean up your diet. Maybe you can watch tape a little bit more. There's always something we can do besides roll hard. Everybody thinks like, if I can't roll hard 5 rounds, 3 days a week, the life's over. I can't progress. And we know that that's the furthest thing from the truth. You can work on your flexibility. You can work on your endurance. You could work on your diet. You could work on a new skills that you're going to do. You could work on your positional stuff. You could work on your mindset. You could work on your breathing. There's 100 different things that you can work on. Kind of a lot of stuff that I talk about in the Black Belt Mindset program, where you think you're limited to this one thing, but you have the world, by the balls, because there's so many other things that you can concentrate on now that you've maybe been missing. Yeah. So I would say that those things.
So the initial question was training. Repeat the question for me.
Best advice for dealing with a knee injury and frustration with not being able to train 100%.
So tape it up and stop being a pussy and go train, right? That's that's actually they're right there.
Irresponsible.
Right? But there are coaches out there. I remember being in a room. I can't say it, but there was a high level coach giving accolades to guys that were training through injuries and see, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I obviously think that's stupid.
Dumb, especially for people who are stay at home, who have jobs, who have families.
I do think, to piggyback on what you said, everything you said, I agree with. And I know for me, when I was a white belt, not off of injury, but I was addicted to watching videos.
Mm-hmm.
I found Jason Scully early.
He's from New Jersey.
Yeah, right. Awesome content.
Yeah.
I still this weekend I do it. I usually wake up for open mats. I grab a coffee. I use coffee and a banana. I try not to eat breakfast before open mat. Mm-hmm. Coffee and a banana. Got to get something in. And I'm watching. I just put on his stuff. It's just 55 close guard techniques in 9 minutes. Mm-hmm. I just put them on. I pick out ones I like. I usually try to find something that we're drilling in the school that day, and I watch that. So for somebody that's injured, I know for me, feeding my mind off of the mat is a big part, especially in the beginning. I think I was already in love with jiu-jitsu the second I got on the mat, and that I was just hungry for the knowledge. I think that gave me a leg up on a lot of people that were around me, because they were done with training and went home and went about their life. I was going home and literally to the point where my wife's like, really? You're going to lay in bed watching this? I put on Jason Scully. I'd shoot from my phone, cast it, YouTube to the TV. And I was just constantly consuming jiu-jitsu. And the Jason Scully stuff for me was big, because it'd be what are we working on in the gym? I'd look up that thing or find that video. Right now we're doing a month of close guard.
Yep.
At my gym right now.
Awesome.
So I went back to those close guard, because it's just again, 50. I don't know all 55 techniques, but now at my level, I'm there. I'm in that position, and I do that. So for somebody that's not able to be on the mat, it could be I know people that are I'm hurt. I can't train. I don't want to even think about it.
Yeah.
And I think Miguel said that one time. He's no, I'm hurt. I don't even want to be thinking about, I don't want to watch an instructional, basically. I'm for me, it's just if I can't train my body, I'll train my mind. So I have been injured, and I did do that, where I just consume things and buy or watch instructionals, get the free stuff on YouTube, and feed your mind at least.
Correct.
While you're trying to recover, while you're trying to do other things and get your mind back to a place where, what you went through, you can be positive and you can start to think about actually getting on the mat again.
So many more things to do. Prepare yourself for the things that you've lacking while you are on the mat.
Yeah.
Maybe your flexibility. Maybe it's your strength. Maybe you have no muscle. Maybe you need to lose weight. Maybe you need to learn how to breathe better. Maybe you need to be more flexible. Well, now's the time to do it.
Yeah. When I started and I was watching videos, my coach hated it. He hated that I was that I watched videos, and I was his only student. It was I started
your coach
with him
now or before?
My coach then. Okay. My coach when I started with opened a gym. He was a family friend, opened a gym, and I was one of his first students. I was really his second student, but it was a girl that trained and left for a week. She was the wife of one of his friends. She trained a little, and then she stopped. So I was his only student for a while. I was literally getting privates almost every day that I trained. And then people would come in and start and stop. So I was training with him, and I would be hey, I saw this move, and he would just be Jesus. But he wound up taking to it. I used to bring my iPad, and we would train. And at the end of every class, he'd be all right, what do you got? And I'd be all right, grab my iPad and be look, show me how to do this move, or show me the way that you do this, or where am I doing this? And we would discuss that move, and he wound up starting to actually like it, because it gave him something else to teach me, because he was going off of his curriculum, and showing me things that he wanted to show me, but then I was getting like maybe like an advanced technique from someplace else. So then it was a good mix into like, I found north-south by myself, like north-south chokes I found on my own, like just different things that I did were not things that he taught me, but that he helped me refine because I did bring him to him. So he went from like rolling his eyes to, yeah, go, what do you got? iPad was always on the side of the mat, and I grab it and be like, pull up something, and then he would show it to me. So I definitely, the world has changed though. Now it's just like every coach is showing moves. Every coach is, you know, but I'm big on Jason Scully, had him on the show, became a member of his site, Grappler's Guide. But I still just go on to YouTube and look at his stuff. All right, let's do one more question.
So this is from a guy from Philly.
Somebody knows you?
Yeah. So this is a funny one. Okay, I'm not gonna say it. How do I get a bigger John? Okay. In Philly, so I thought it was funny. In Philly, anything could be a John. Like, you know, Philly people have like this sort of like, I don't want to say this lingo, but they have this lingo like, yo, let me see that John. Like, this could be a John. That could be a John. This could be a John.
Like just saying that thing? It's
yeah,
like
that thing. That John, though. You know, like,
you know this?
Let me see that
You're
John.
From up there? Where are you from,
Yo,
Christian?
John. Where are you from?
Cleveland. So I know
they
a lot
say
of
kind of
people,
know that.
They don't say that in Cleveland, but I have some friends from there, and yeah, John is a popular.
Yo, cuz, what's up with that John?
Yeah,
Yo,
yeah.
Yo,
You described it perfectly. A John could be it could be a bottle.
It's like forget about it. Forget about it. Could be like forget about it.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a good thing, bad thing, right?
Yeah, where'd you get that John from? You're like, what John? You're like, you know, that John in your head, that hat.
So what was his question? What did he say?
How do we get your John bigger? I don't know.
It could be, no answer to that.
I have no answer to that. I love the guy. That's why I answered it.
All right. So if any of those guys, when they gotta let the podcast go live, if they hear their question, for people that don't know, right, you can submit a question. We usually post before every guest comes on the show. If you submit a question, you hear it on the show. We'll mention your name. You mentioned his name, right?
That was Diamond Striking. That was the guy I first trained.
Okay. Yeah. If you hear your question used on the show, send me a DM on Instagram, and we'll get you out a podcast tee or mug. You see the podcast mugs up there. We'll send you out a podcast tee or mug, your choice. And that's the thank you for sending questions. So let's do our drill down. So we're gonna do. Let's do it. We'll let Bo do his sound effects. So it's time for the
drill down.
There we go. High level here. High level.
I like that.
So we did this with you last time. Yeah. Questions might have changed a little bit, but we'll just go through these real quick. And I like to tell people that like these are probably the most popular questions that we constantly get. So we just group them here at the end and we ask everybody.
Sure.
So gi or no gi?
No gi.
Takedown or pull guard?
Takedown.
Music during rolling?
Music.
Yeah. Gotta.
What kind of music?
What's your go-to?
You know, I really like house or club music.
Yeah.
That like upbeat.
Yeah.
I like rap.
Like.
Yeah. I'm from New Jersey, man. That's what we do.
Yeah. Are you watching jiu-jitsu? We just talked about watching videos. Do you watch jiu-jitsu when you're not on the mats?
Yes.
WNOs, flow grappling,
Flow.
Yeah.
I like flow.
IBJJFs, like the tournaments you watch?
No. I'm not interested in point grappling. I think I love it. Those guys are great. I watch Megarelli sometimes. I just think that's a lot of them have adopted their whole game just to the point system of winning. And hey, listen, those guys could beat me on points, and you know that's great. But it's just not my thing. I just don't like that. I like the action of the sub onlys or the flow grappling or the ADCC. For me, those are way more exciting. I'm
liking the 1FCs now. Like I like that they've integrated one, to grappling matches into those cards. I think that's definitely the way. That's the way that grappling will continue to be elevated, to get more popular. I still don't think it'll ever be just like you can be a casual MMA fan, never have trained, and want to watch MMA or even boxing, right?
Correct.
You be a fan, and I watched boxing all my life without ever stepping into a ring. But jiu-jitsu's not like that. No, there needs to be a certain amount of like IQ, jiu-jitsu IQ. So I think that 1FC is going to get us there. And I even like what the UFC is doing with like kind of the fight pass and airing stuff. And I think I might actually break down and actually buy the fight pass. Yeah. Because I like that they're putting like the pros in with like, an MMA fighter with like a jiu-jitsu only guy. Like I like that mix and really get to see where your level's at. And I love that the jiu-jitsu guys are always kicking the MMA guys' asses.
Yeah, they are.
All right. Favorite competitor to watch?
Gordon or Nicholas.
Okay, how about MMA?
Oh man, So many good fighters. I like Izzy. I like him a lot. I know he just lost.
What do you think about that fight?
I actually thought about that fight, and I was in my mind. I picked Strickland.
Yeah.
Just because of his tenacity and his ability to go forward. And Izzy is more of a counter fighter. Strickland is more of he'll play counter, but he's a big pressure person. And I think the reason that Alex, the Brazilian guy, knocked out Strickland is because he also plays a counter pressure fighter, whereas Izzy, he's very much just a counter fighter.
Yeah.
So stylistically, sometimes when you look at martial artists, it's not so much, who beat who, but more so like, what is your style against my style and how can it be that much
Did
more
you see the video? There's a video out of Strickland with Pereira.
Yeah.
Did you see that video of their training together? And Pereira is showing him basically that combination.
Okay, the inside punch when he goes for that big hook, he throws that straight,
yeah,
right? Okay.
Yeah. There's a video of them training together and like going over kind of that combination. And like you're right, like Alex comes in very straight up.
He'll pressure.
And Strickland came in like that too. Strickland came in straight
Strickland
up.
plays that shell.
Yeah.
But he'll come in. He's always in, and Izzy's more of a defensive counter fighter, and he'll get offensive when he needs to. But Strickland's just like put my head down and I'll just take punches and I'll get in there eventually.
You rewatch that fight and look how Strickland just controlled the ring. Like he was on the outside of that octagon design in the middle, like in the ring, right? That encircles the middle of the ring. There was like very few times, maybe once or twice, where they were actually fighting in the center of the ring. It always moved to he just had Izzy on the outside.
He was able to cut him off and just keep putting him back in there.
He controlled the ring.
Good footwork. You know what I'd like to have seen Izzy do in that fight a little bit more? Is use that side kick that John Jones uses.
Yeah, to the thigh.
Yeah, right above the knee there to kind of really get him to stop, because the way that Strickland stands and the way that he comes in, it's very hard to get him on that jab off, and because Strickland is so good at like doing that pullback and that roll. But if you can do the lower extremities, sometimes you can kind of get him to stop. But what Strickland does is he blades himself really well. So like the front kicks don't work on the center of the body because the body becomes so bladed and he's not so square. When you become square, now you have a bigger target. So he gets himself bladed just enough that it's easier for him to kind of get in there and start getting, silly or how he gets.
I didn't think Strickland had any business even getting that fight. And look at that. Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
All right, so ultimate goal in jiu-jitsu.
Ultimate goal in jiu-jitsu is to impact as many people's lives as possible through my martial arts and my martial arts studio, to help them in all different ways. Gotcha. To me, that's more important than me even winning a world championship, right? Because the world championship is just for me.
Yeah.
Maybe I can inspire some people and to do it and this and that. But if I can actually have people come back to me and be like, man, you changed my life, or you changed my kid's life, or like through your martial arts, I was able to get through college and earn a scholarship for the mental things that you showed me, that's a win.
Yeah. Cool. Now this is the big one. Do you remember the big one?
No.
Remember the big one? This is like the drum roll.
Favorite food?
Yeah. Do you or do you not wash your jiu-jitsu belt?
Do I or do I not? No, I usually do.
You wash it?
Yeah, not like all the time, but I do.
Good for you.
Yeah, a lot
You're not
of
a dirty
don't. I do. I just not as much as every single day. I don't wash it every session. Might be like every couple of sessions.
I'm every couple of. I do have two belts.
Yeah.
Every couple of sessions, I do. We don't have it up here. Use a little in the neutral zone, the spray.
Okay.
So I'll spray it. If it's not around, I've used Lysol, so I'll spray it and hang it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wash it.
Remember, I'm doing no-gi more. I like no-gi more, so I don't have to wash my belt.
So your gym though, you'll have a gi, no-gi. You started to talk about it before. You really look at it more of a no-gi gym, or is it going to be gi and no-gi?
It's going to be equally gi and no-gi, because, and it has nothing to do with who's around me, but it's just what I know that I want to offer. I want to be able to offer no-gi and gi, but also the combatives of like the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu combatives. I'm going to offer that in the beginning.
That's
right.
Nice,
I'm not worried about people passing guard for 2 points. I'm worried about what do you do? How do you punch block defense? How do you grab the body? How do you trip? How do you get out of somebody choking you? Standing forward.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to know that stuff.
Yeah.
The Valenti brothers are phenomenal at that stuff.
They caught a lot of shit for that for a long time.
I don't care.
Yeah. No, I agree.
In general, from other people.
I agree.
And Henner and his brother are some of the most underrated jiu-jitsu practitioners ever. Like, I don't care if you're world champion or not. If you roll with those guys, You can ask Glover, Jeff Glover, and all those other guys are like, wow, these dudes spank me.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I mean, look at Huron. When he fought Galvao, did Galvao run through him? No. And how much does Galvao weigh more than Huron?
And then the strength and the steroids, right? All the other stuff.
Did he smoke Huron?
No.
Okay. And how much more does he weigh? He was 40, 30 pounds more, whatever. He's a competitor. Is Galvao not an animal? Absolutely. Is Huron's technique and his ability to hold his cool and do well against somebody that good was that impressive? Look how bad Galvao beats other people. And he wasn't able to do that to him. And how much does Huron compete?
But when you think about that too, like my coach always says, for every level there's another level, right? You got, the Gracies, you're talking about Galvao, then look what Gordon did to Galvao. Like, it's just like,
Gordon's
make him look like white belts.
Magarelli and Gordon, these guys are like, so yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate Huron and his brother. And I think they underestimate these guys, but they're really good. Yeah. Just because they teach combatives doesn't mean they're not. These guys are good, man. They've been doing jiu-jitsu for a while. People think if you teach combatives, you're not good. My coach, the Animal, I swear to you, I would put him up against almost anybody. We've had world champions come in from other parts of the country, and they'll be like, I had one guy come, I won't say his name, great guy. He's amazing. He trains at a very popular gym here in Miami, and he's very, very well known in the jiu-jitsu world. And he told my coach, he's like, dude, you could win ADCC right now.
Yeah.
That's what he told me. He's like, bro, you could win ADCC right now. He goes, I swear to God. He goes, I train with guys who train at ADCC. He goes, you could beat these guys. And Rick's like, nah, I got too many kids. Like, I'm worried about running my
studio. Goes back to the commitment, right?
Like, I don't care. He's like, he's like, I've done jiu-jitsu forever. So, just because you teach self-defense doesn't mean you're not good at jiu-jitsu.
Thank you to Feito IT and AV, specializing in commercial and residential automation, security cameras, CCTV, POS, and more. Check them out at feitoitav.com or call 305-428-2515 and let them know the dummy sent you. Thank you to Neutral Zone CBD, a combat family-owned company that supports athletes and the people who love them. Neutral Zone strives to deliver clean CBD products for sports recovery in gummies, lotions, balms, roll-ons, and more. After a competition, a hard rolling session, or a tough day on the job, Neutral Zone has a product designed to help you reduce inflammation, increase cell rejuvenation, and may even help with aging joints. Visit NeutralZoneCBD.com and get 25% off your order with code JJD. And follow them on Instagram too, at MyNeutralZone. Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu-Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. Any shout-outs? You want to say hello to anybody? Thank yous? Can't tell anybody. Is your gym up north closed? Did you close your gym?
No.
Oh, no, it's open. All right, so you can give your gym a shout-out. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, Budo Martial Arts in Ewing, New Jersey. And give a shout-out to my wife for always being supportive and believing in me and what I do in my life. Without that, we talked about that in the beginning, what was my wife like? Without that, it's kind of like you second-guess yourself. When you have somebody behind you who's like, everything I do, she's like, you can do this. I know we're going through a hard time right now. I know you can do this. Yeah. That's big. Yeah. Amen.
We won't get into why I got divorced, but that you just explained it. I didn't have that.
Sounds like for the better. Sounds like for the better, my friend.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening. You can check us out at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies on Instagram. All right. I'm Uncle Milty BJJ on IG. Bo, you want to throw out Handy Wisdom? Handy_Wisdom. You can check out Bo and his new project. And thank you for doing this again, bro. I really appreciate it, man.
All right.
Thank you for watching and listening, everybody. Peace, love, Jiu-Jitsu. Los.